No worries. Thanks. We can just start with the team selection. We got one in the back line, which is Herschel coming in the changes. And then in the forward pack, it's Joe, BJ, and obviously Dion Fourie coming back in. If you can just run through the thinking behind all of those.
Yeah, the back line, it's largely rotational. There's very little choose between Herschel and Paul. Paul's played well in the last 2 weeks, but Herschel's a Springbok, and so it's purely rotational. I think likewise at hooker, Joe has been largely our number one over the last year and a half. So he gets his starting, starts, he gets, like, I'm getting this right, he gets his start. Yeah, I think, sorry, I beg your pardon, you talk about the bench. Andrew Hugo was also rotational just to get JJ up to speed and in our mix, because we don't know when we need to knock on his door. And the Cup came back, then Springbok resting, got injured at Loftus and came back. He's one of our talisman and leaders and one of our very best players, a World Cup winning Springbok.
Cool, Dobbo. And then maybe just a word or two on the occasion. Round of 16, second in a row, defending champions at home. What that's going to be like.
Yeah, like I've just seen, I've seen the Rochelle team. I think it must be one of the better club teams of all time. The reason why they're two-time champions. As I said, I think somewhere else in the week that, if they played in the World Cup as their own country, they'd get very, very far in the World Cup. So, but I think so the odds are against us. I think we just look at our achievement, as you suggest, hosting two last 16 games is in the both times we've had the tournament is a great achievement. I think getting out of the pool of death and hosting from that was also special. I do think that this is another beast, though, in terms of quality of opposition. They're an amazingly good side, big physical game breakers. So it's going to be probably the Stormers' ultimate test. I'm not sure if the Stormers have played a stronger team before, so we'll have a good indication where we are. But we certainly, our feeling isn't one of dauntedness. It's real excitement. If we manage to do something special tomorrow, then we've two games against the defending two-time champions. So to show we really up at the top table. So it's a huge occasion for us.
Last one. Leedson's got his hand up. Go for it, Leeds.
Thanks, Mikey. Hi, Dobbo. Hope you're well. Dobbo, just on the team, you mentioned on Saturday that it's going to be either team to stop them or run them. This seems to be the team to run them from the start.
Listen, I think we have to make sure this game's played at tempo, and we have to hope that we didn't have that, and that wasn't the case when we played them in December. So we're going to have to, we want to move it. We want to move it around. I don't think we're not scared of them physically. We just happen to think that's the way to play against these guys. Down here on a hard field is play them fast. We hope that the referee keeps the tempo of the game up. There are not too many guys lying down, so the game doesn't get any rhythm. I think it'd be more attractive as a spectacle if it's got a high tempo and a high ball in play. Obviously, that probably suits our plan. So our idea is to play typical Stormers rugby out there and see how they handle it.
And some of the guys have really made a massive effort over the last 2 weeks to put their name up. Just how difficult was it to sort of maintain what you have been working with? The team doesn't look too different from what's been working for you guys, but also what was sort of the toughest combinations up front and at the back to choose?
Yeah, it was. It's even though the team is relatively settled over the last couple of weeks, it hasn't been easy. You've got that obvious question, which I'm sure everybody, Dan, Damien, and Warwick, to get all three on the field versus Dan's on an out-and-out 13. But even I think when you see once the game opens up, you through two phases, those guys, you don't really have a 12 and 13 shape anyway. But that was a challenge. When you could play one to Seal at 13, you could play Salem at 13, Ben Lode on the wing. You could play Damien at fullback and bench Warwick, or bench Dan and Damien at 12. So it's caused us quite a bit of debate. That was, which tight head starts, the hookers, you saw the difference JJ made when he came on. loose forwards is always very competitive, you know, Chiva versus BJ in this week. So it hasn't been easy, but we've tried to sort of deliberately go for consistency, but that's got a flip side to it. It's got a dark side to it in that, you know, there are disappointed players within our squad who haven't played for a while. And so I think we've got to be slightly careful about that going forward. You know, there's some really good players, whether that's, you know, Villiers, Connor Evans, Gary Porter, Sazi Sandi, JJ Kotza, Skaran Tabeni, Wandasile, you know, those guys, I have to be very careful that we're not marginalizing them. I've just got a funny feeling we're on the edge of that at the moment.
And then just with regards to the backline, the running and everything, but you also upfront compensated for the big boys of La Rochelle with Evan and then BJ starting with Dion in the loose trio.
Yeah, I think we can't be naive about the size of the pack we're playing against. Also, that you know, hopefully, if we move that game, the game opens up, and then somebody like Achiever can do a magic job from this, you know, when he comes on the field. But we had, you know, there's a certain amount of having to meet fire with fire. It's, you know, only after the game will we know whether we're right. But what we love about BJ is his physicality, his intensity, his ability to work for 80 minutes. And in this game, we feel maybe Hachiva as the game breaker, that his role might be a bit later in the game. What does Eddie Jones always say? I didn't change his role, mate. I just didn't drop him. I just changed his role, mate. I think that's what we've done here.
And then just lastly, just what this game and if you were to go on to get the victory, what that would mean in terms of your season. We know in the URC it hasn't gone at the start how you wanted it to go, but just in terms of the season, what this would mean.
Oh, yeah, so look, I mean, I think I'm sure we're not the favourites anywhere for tomorrow's game, but you know, if you managed, like I said, it might be something out of Harry Potter and the fantasy, but if you manage to beat La Rochelle twice in one season, you're one of the better teams around, and that's just the truth. So then that's the upside for us of tomorrow. You know, that season, that we really, and in a sense, you know, we put ourselves on the back foot, as you suggest, later in the URC, we lose 4 games in a row on tour. So we've been fighting ever since then, and I think we've got in the fight well, and we moved up the table nicely and all that sort of stuff. But you know, we've been on the back foot there. The Champions Cup, not so much. We've got nothing to fear. We can attack this competition. You know, we've done our bit. We hosted the last 16 game again. That's a great achievement. So we've got nothing to lose. You know, I don't think many people expect us to beat, you know, this star-studded massive team. So if we do, I just see out tomorrow a massive upside for us. And you know, if things do go wrong, we'll be better for the experience of playing a freakishly good rugby team like La Rochelle. So yeah, there's no sort of fear of loss tomorrow. It's just if we do it, no matter what happens to the rest of the season, we can reflect on some real progress. If you are really, as I say, if you beat La Rochelle twice in a season, then I think you can reflect that you're a team of some standing. You know, so it would be a massive thing for us. We to get it right, as tough as it's going to be.
Thanks, Leeds. Jan,
Thanks,
yes, Jan.
There you go. Thanks, John. I think you've partly answered the question earlier about what you want to change from the previous game. What do you expect different from them? I mean, obviously, they've got that pack, and you're going to find a way of dealing with those monsters. But what else do you expect different from them?
Well, look, I think I can't speak a party to their camp, Jan, but I would imagine that pool game wouldn't have been a life or death game for them. Yeah, they wouldn't really know who the Stormers were. Everything was novel. They hadn't been down here before. So I think the change in them would be that this is a knockout, and they've got an amazing knockout history. I mean, they were beaten finalists in I think a couple of years ago, then 2 straight finals. So they've won 11 of their last 12 games in knockout rugby. They'll be taking us a lot more seriously. They were smarting off that defeat. They've got Gregory Aldrit, who I mind is one of the best number 8s in the world rugby, and they're leader and one of the best guys forwards of any position with the highest work rate. So I think they would be a much, you know, I'm not going to say that they were blasé or relaxed about the last game, but it wasn't do or die for a team that's got the ultimate pedigree in European knockouts. So I expect some more anger from them, taken more seriously. Yeah, I think we're going to see a slightly different beast. And as I say, personnel-wise, I think Aldrit is their spiritual driver of that team, and he's back and leading it. So yeah, it's going to be a lot tougher than it was last time, and last time was tough.
Thanks, John.
Thanks.
Thanks, Jan. Next, Gavin and the boys from the Blue Peter have got something.
Thanks, Mark. I haven't been at Blue Peter for about the last 6 weeks. But how's it, Dobbo? Long time no speak. Just when you were talking now about, there were two things you were talking about. One was you're talking about the guys that are on the edge that haven't played for a while. And the other thing you were talking about was how good this Rochelle team is. And, you know, with all due respect to the Leicester Tigers, if you do win this game, you're going to play I think we saw it last week against the Bulls, a very good Leinster team on their home ground at Dublin next week. And then you're going to have to come back and play the Ospreys and Leinster again. Is this one of those like sort of potential sort of curve? I know you want to win because it will be great for the season, but looking at the rest, looking at URC and everything, would you then possibly have to sort of box clever with your selections for next week if you do get through and you are going to Leinster, and maybe play some of those guys then, or otherwise make a plan to play them all against the Ospreys?
Yeah, I mean, that's what. Yeah, I think it's a tough one, but you did right. It's, you know, it's a monstrous ask. You know, we would have to, if we wanted to get to the semis of the final of the European Cup, we would have to beat La Rochelle on Leinster. You know, which is, you know, I mean, the bookies are, they're gonna look at you like like you're mad if you go and try and place that bet. So it's really, really tough. And you know, we are fighting in the URC battle just to try and get into the home playoffs. So it's you know, you would never do it. So we would not do it. But yeah, there's a sort of logical argument that were you to do something special tomorrow against La Rochelle, do you then call that quits on the European Cup and then focus on your day job, which is the URC, which I say we wouldn't do. It would just be disrespectful to probably the world's biggest club competition that we didn't go with our best team to Leinster, but it was going to put us under pressure in other areas. So I think we would have to prepare a lot of those good names I've just mentioned to get ready for the Ospreys. And I think there's enough there for us to do that job. They're really good players, just haven't had much opportunity. So that's probably our thinking. You know, look, I'll be delighted to have the problem this time tomorrow night, but it's, yeah, it would be very, very challenging for our URC campaign should we be in Dublin next week.
Thanks.
Thanks, Gavin. We've got Stephen lastly. Yes, Stephen.
Thank you, Mark. Dobbo, just with all that in mind, and also what you mentioned earlier about the you know, inclusivity and so on of the squad, do you think ultimately last year with the Currie Cup running concurrently to the European competitions, was that maybe a better model than everyone thought, and possibly even the best model? Because I see this now, you know.
Yeah, I would fall into that category. I would, you know, like I was very pro that, and probably still am for lots of reasons, the Currie Cup moving to that heartland, you know, heartland rugby months of June, July, August, where, you know, there's only the rugby championship, and if the Springboks are playing in Argentina or Australia, there's no rugby on television in the afternoon, and we need that rugby, you know, people to watch rugby on a Saturday afternoon to get, you know, to get the broadcast up for the other unions, sponsorships, to restore some luster to the Currie Cup. So I think all that remains sound, but I'm telling you from a practical coaching point of view, you did right. You know, I wish the Currie Cup was on now, because, you know, we're scratching for friendlies. We played UCT, we played Stellenbosch, we took a team up to Sudan to play Crickwiz, we've gone to Northampton. I think were they playing now, it would be much easier just to rotate a little bit or bring guys in or out. But now those guys, a lot of those guys, last serious rugby was in Northampton, 3 or 4 weeks ago. And so from a rugby coaching point of view, it would definitely be better. I didn't realize it at the time. You know, I'm dead right, I got it wrong. But I can see from the holistic rugby ecosystem the move of the Currie Cup June, July. But yeah, maybe look, I'm sure we couldn't afford it, but you know, maybe we should be playing in this SA Cup now with our second, just because I think all the union franchises will be, you know, I mean, the Bulls have to play their best team against Lyon. Then they could be up next on the road next week. And, you know, I'm sure they've got a squad like us of 50 something. So maybe I think from a rugby coaching point of view, it was a better model for us from a rugby performance point of view.
Cheers, Dobbo. Good luck against the who's who of world rugby.
Yes, this is a strong team, man. Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Dobbo, thanks for your time. We'll catch you all tomorrow after the game.
Thanks.
Looking forward to it.
Give Harry to the blue, Peter. Thanks,
Bye.
cheers. Thank you.
Yeah, they've missed me, Dobbo. Cheers. Thanks.